said, I'd like to share that thought. It's just as an opening perspective. We must all have days of enjoyment that we enjoy, times that we relax and feel the presence of other friends and company, and also feeling like we're okay. I am okay, and I'm doing okay. And that's important for all of us, I think, to experience, and as well as children. So just again, I'd like to welcome you all. I hope your day is one of those days that you enjoy and you feel good about yourself and who you are. It's very good to see you here on this Saturday morning. So what's the purpose of this experience? I think I'd like to propose 3 perspectives to keep in mind as we begin to play. It's all about the value of play in our children's lives and in human development. So as we play, and we're going to play in just a few minutes, you are, and I am also, that play is an integral part of children's lives. Everything that they do, early learning standards included, brain development, neuroplasticity, all those things which research has suggested to us are essentially very important, especially in those first 5 years, although I believe it takes a whole lifetime to really fill it all out. The second part is that when we play today, you'll make automatic connections with who you are and what your interests are. So in a sense, what we're doing here today is really, it's all about you. The importance of this time together is what you experience, preferably sensorially, fully, the whole self, all of who you are. So we're designing it in a way for that experience to happen, but we're also mindful that there are topics like STEM and STEAM. And we're saying that this experience we're having, if you find yourself thinking about it in terms of STEM or STEAM, you'll see a very healthy fit between the play with objects and science and technology, the materials themselves, are technological advances to your learning. And of course, engineering, the way you configure and shape objects is also part of what happens in play. And of course, we wouldn't want to omit the arts. It's very difficult to distinguish the difference between art and science. They just sort of merge together. If you think about science, it's all about exploration and discovery. And so it is with play. So they're a natural fit. And then the last thing, the third perspective I suggest we just are aware of together, especially now during what appears and feels to me like more stressful times. There are certain things going on in our outer world that cause us to not feel necessarily completely relaxed and joyful and ebullient. But we know in play, that's a space we can visit. So this third idea really is, in terms of social and emotional development, learning how to be the best kind of human beings we can be, early on preferably, and mental health and reducing anxiety and distresses and disorders, all of that is pacified in play of this sort. And this sort I refer to what we're going to do as, there are many ways of playing, of course, but one particular one, because we're researching it now, in a sense, we're all actively engaging in our own direct research with this experience we're calling silent solitary play. Not that all the other forms aren't wonderful, especially cooperative, to develop all those language skills and ways of interacting and compromising. This is more about compromising and interacting with yourself. So it's an inward experience, intentionally suggesting a safe way of being more mindful, if you will. So it's a mindfulness practice. I'm reminded of an experience I had back in September of 2007. It was an early childhood conference here in Florida. It was our Florida AEYC annual conference, and I had the privilege of sitting next to Brian Sutton Smith on a panel. Some of you may know Brian Sutton Smith, who's passed away, but he's a brilliant, world-famous theorist who has helped me understand more about play. And I wanted to quote what he said in this paper that he gave. I actually have a copy of the paper. I saved it from way back, or Florida AUIC was then called the Early Childhood Association of Florida. But this is Brian Sutton Smith's paper. And I'm going to read just a little piece of it. And then we're going to play. So he says, given here, that play and art making as expressive systems generate optimism about our life in this world. And they get this by displaying original ways of putting aside our pessimisms and our depression and our boredoms, and innovating a virtual life that is primarily a lot of fun. Think of our moments of play. So their plays, he goes on to say, are for them real originality. And this is what both improves their feelings about ordinary present-day life and sometimes promises a future where their own innovations will be central. And he concludes by saying, the opposite of play is not work, as we have been told since the dawn of the industrial slavery, it is depression. So those three things, the idea of young brains developing, neuroscience, et cetera, and the STEM and STEAM activities, and social emotional development, mental health. Let's pause here for a moment. And for those folks who just came in, I want to welcome you along with the others that are here. This is what we're going to be doing. In a moment, I'm going to introduce a period of solo play. You're going to have a chance to gather your materials, find a quiet space inside, outside. Hopefully you won't be interrupted. So you have a chance to be, in a sense, in a state of contemplation, creative contemplation, or meditation with yourself, in complete control, without interruption. I'll give you a little warning at the end so we make a smooth transition from where you are and where you will be in a few moments to the next episode, which will be a period of reflection. You have an encounter with yourself, with the materials, and with all the ideas that bubble forth and connections you spontaneously, automatically make. You synthesize in those present moments who you are with what you're learning. And then after the reflection, you're going to have a chance to essentially go speak with one other person in a breakout room. And we'll talk about that in a minute, but let's continue for a moment. After you've had a chance of meeting one-to-one to talk about your experience, we're going to have a large group session where we'll all kind of come back together and have opened the floor for discussion. It is what you feel, what you experience that we are interested in knowing as one another. And then following that questions and answers and general sharing, we're going to have a special treat that's added since our previous Zoom. Two participants like you a month ago decided they wanted to try this practice. And so two people, Tushi and Robin, around 12 o'clock, will present their experience. One experience was parents and some children in Turkey. Tushi's from Turkey. Robin is a professor at Champlain College. We'll hear more about her, but her work was with 35 or so Head Start teachers who experienced what we're about to do for the first time. Again, I welcome you. And now it's time for you to have a few moments with those materials hopefully you've gathered, and maybe some journal equipment, which we'll take a picture of what you did also later on. But let's get to the experience where the learning really occurs. So from now until about 15 minutes later or so, I'll keep time. We're going to put on some soft music just to smooth out the background. Wiley Rankin has provided us some original flute music for us to listen to. All right, so in a moment, you're going to be touching and going somewhere else. You're going to be in a state of flow with resources, and your imagination will begin to speak with you. This is a time simply to listen and be present and enjoy the experience. There's no evaluation, no assessment. It's just a few moments of us being together and then sharing what happens beginning now. Welcome once again. Hope you enjoy these next 15 minutes or so. We put on a little music and Maybe another minute or so, just another minute. Maybe another minute or so. Lots of you staying there. Okay. That was about 15 minutes. So think of what we're doing as active research where you're in charge. And your experience is what's really important here. So clarifying what it was that you experienced and then reflecting on it and perhaps sharing it is sort of part of the heart of what we're doing and what we see doing with children and other adults that you may know or wish to work with. So, would you take a moment and close your eyes if you're comfortable doing that for 60 seconds? And I'll keep time. If you like your eyes open, just sit quietly and take a couple, 2 or 3 nice deep breaths and let it out slowly and just for 1 minute, let your mind wander back. Okay, that was actually 1 minute, 60 seconds. Now, you've had an experience. Would you take a few moments and journal about your experience? Go back, take some paper, a pen or pencil or markers, and try and capture what your experience held for you, what you learned in those few moments, how you felt, what questions arose, ideas, and just let it flow out onto the paper. Okay, another minute or so, and then we'll take a trip into the breakout rooms, see what happens there. Okay. Again, if you're not quite finished, don't hesitate to continue journaling. So now, if you don't mind, leave what you did as it is. Don't take it apart. If you can leave it, because we are going to take a picture of it later. That's the hope, to document the play. But for now, I'm going to push a button, and all of a sudden, you're going to find yourself in a room with somebody you may or you may not know. And I'd like to request, if you don't know them, just introduce yourselves. And for the first part of this 8 or 9 minutes, I'd like you to share the time this way. Decide which of the two of you would speak first. And one person speaks, while the other one remains present without interrupting, listening carefully to what's being shared. And then we'll reverse the roles and you get to be the other, etc. And we'll do that maybe for 7, 8, 9 minutes. And if you find yourself, each of you have had time to share, you can divide the time up. And then if after you've each had a time to share, you can just wander wherever you want. Oh, wander wherever you want anyway. Okay, well, I'm going to push a button, and I hope you enjoy this next part of this experience. And I ask you to talk about that experience. Stay focused on the meaning or the intent or the resonance of that experience with you. Okay, good. See you later.
Walter,
Hi.
I think whoever is in breakout room 15 might be alone because I got assigned to there as well.
Oh, can you bring them in or carry them? What do we do?
If you go to breakout rooms and see the list,
Yeah, I see it.
you can reassign them to another room. Just go to breakout room number 15.
I don't see the person that's an extra.
Oh, not in room number 15?
Number 15, let's see, has two, Carly Bedard, not joined, and Mary iPod or iPad.
Yes. So if you want to connect Mary, reassign her to another room and they'll
How
just
do I do that? Move to?
Yep. Click on move to and just pick any of the other rooms.
Oh, I'm going to pick number 4.
Perfect.
Wow.
That way she's not alone in there.
Thank you, Carly.
Of course.
Sorry. I'm glad you caught that. Yeah.
All right. And I will set a timer. You said 9 minutes, right?
I did say that.
Okay. I'm going to set the timer for 8 minutes and then we'll know when to give them the 1-minute warning. It's going really lovely though.
Oh, good, good. I don't feel rushed. I feel
Good.
Yeah. Thank you, Carly.
I think building in the extra time for 15 or 20 minutes of play was helpful too, because then felt like we could at least hit the 15-minute mark. So
I think they got a full 15, didn't they? Maybe even a couple more.
Yeah. It is incredible how that time makes a difference, right? Like just in the state and flow of play. So.
We have some wonderful, wonderful people present.
It feels like it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to email Robin. I just got an email from her. She said that the link was not working for her.
Oh.
So I'm glad I noticed Robin wasn't.
You take care of that. Sure, go right ahead, dear.
Made me a little nervous that she wasn't here. So let's see if I can get her.
Yeah, she's not in it. That's a good point.
So that was the only reason why, because I always close out my emails because I don't want it dinging while I'm on.
Yeah.
So we'll see if.
Robin's booth. She says she can't get in.
Hey, Carly, did you hear that?
Yes, I just emailed her. Thank you, Kitty. I just emailed her the link.
Yeah. Yes, I'm so sorry you had to suffer that distress. Oh, good. Yeah, well, soon you will.
Here she is.
Yeah, I'll see you in a little bit, dear. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Are you on?
Uh,
You're doing it?
yeah.
Oh,
We're, no, it's great. We're doing fine. There are no calamities yet.
Morning, Katie.
Thank you,
Hi.
colleagues. Thank you.
Or good afternoon for you all.
Yeah.
Robin,
Hi.
I'm so sorry. I was just telling Walter I have my email address closed when I'm doing Zoom so that it's
Of
not
course.
dinging. And then when I didn't see you, I was like, you know what? Let me shoot her a quick email. So our apologies or my
No,
apologies.
it's perfect. It all worked out. No worries.
Would you like to take a few minutes, Robin, and just get there and play quietly, or?
I played. I was on the phone. I called in on the phone number when I couldn't get in and thought, well, I'll be on the phone. And so I played.
Good, good.
Great.
We're
They're
about,
just doing breakout rooms right now. So we have about,
would you like to jump into a breakout room, Robin, or you want?
What,
hang on.
um, sure. Why not?
How would I do that from here?
Oh, then don't worry about it. I'm fine.
Let's see, maybe you're in here. Oh, I think I said it from a previous number, so you're not on this list. Oh, no, there you are. There you go. Forgive me. I'm going to put you somewhere. Let's
Okay.
see. I'll
there's
put you with
just
somebody.
about, we have still about 5 minutes, Robin. So
Okay, great.
Let's try somebody I think you know. I think. Let's see. Move to 3. Bye, Robin.
Bye.
You should go. Well, it's all a bit mysterious to me, Carly.
But you did great. That was perfect. You're a breakout room expert now. Walter, remind me really quickly as I'm introducing Robin, she is a professor. It's Champlain College, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. What else do you have for her? Anything else in particular?
Let me see what else I had. I had it pulled up. I didn't have anything else in particular.
Would you like to add? She is
Yeah, please do.
a facilitator with Flacy,
Oh, yes.
with Nacy. Robin is also a master play coach. She was, I don't know as you want, she was trained over the years by ISAE. But I don't know as you want to say promote ISAE. I feel funny about that, but she is a master play coach.
Yeah, I'll definitely mention that.
And a wonderful professor, Okay. And I think we're we really are. I'm surprised how in time we are. A large group sharing.
Yeah,
No,
we have about
there you go.
a little over 2 minutes until you'll give the 1 minute warning.
Oh,
So just about 3 minutes left. Is that right on the timeline?
what time would that be then?
In 2 minutes, you'll give the 1 minute warning. So there's a total of 3 minutes left in the breakout rooms.
And where is it on the schedule?
Oh, let me see. Sorry, I'm just looking at my timer on my phone.
Good, that's better. You're more reliable there.
That would be 8:45 will be the actual time.
Okay, good.
Which is, yeah, at just about, 11:43 is where we had it scheduled for. So I think that will be fine. That's great.
I'm so glad that we are being blessed with an orderly proceeding, Carly.
Yes.
It's very special to do this together with you.
I feel the same. Thank you.
Yeah. I think we could give them the 1 minute warning, right? What is that right? It's 44 my watch.
Give them, they have about 30 seconds until the 1 minute warning.
Do I push the button close all rooms?
Yes, when you do, it'll give them a 60-second warning.
Okay, let me know when it's time, okay, by your
Okay.
phone.
All right.
And then we'll take a picture, and then we're going to go into sharing, see what people had to say.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to push the button. The rooms are closed. All
Okay.
participants have been given 60 seconds. Okay, good. Okay, so
All right.
I'm going to move the whole thing here.
Okay.
So we're saying hello to one another again, back from sharing with another. I hope you enjoyed that, and it was informative and enjoyable for everybody. Now, before we go on to a group discussion, I wonder if you would take a photo, if you can, of what you made, if it's still there. Articulate your device if you can, and snap a photo, if you can, of what you made. The reason we're asking you to do that is because we're documenting together an experience that has potentially lots of relief on the way for children. If you were to use, or if they're using these practices with children under stress, just a few minutes of slowing down, calming ourselves for a few minutes, and then proceeding. But would you take that photo if you can? And then if you don't mind sharing the photo and also sharing your journal, please take a photo of what you journaled. That's very interesting. If you don't mind sharing that, please email it. And that's later on, but at least you'll have it for yourself. Okay, so let's see here. By the schedule, we're right on time. You've had an experience and shared and documented. Now I'd like to introduce an exquisite human being that I've come to love dearly for her wonder and splendor and thoughtful, gentle heart. And that's Carly Bedard, who's about to say hello, share a little bit of what she's doing, and then open up the floor for sharing what you all experienced with the whole group. So, hey, Carly, would you mind saying hello and introduce yourself and get us going on that sharing, okay?
I would be thrilled to. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're at. I am thrilled to be here with you all for this time of play and just connection. As Walter shared, my name is Carly Bedard, and like many of you, I presume, I'm just incredibly inspired by Walter's work and the many faces I see here on the screen. And I'm just so grateful for this time we have to connect and find a bit of reprieve and respite and play and hope and optimism. So with those thoughts, we would love to hear a little bit about your experience. And as Walter shared earlier, trying to maintain that sense of presence and mindfulness, thinking about that incredible experience you just had with yourself and the materials, what feelings arose during that time. We would love to hear, as well as the connection that you just made in the breakout room. So at this point, we would love to open it up to you all and hear a little bit more from your heart and hear a little bit more about your experience. So feel free to unmute yourself if you would care to share a little bit about your experience.
I'll jump in.
Wonderful.
I'm Barbara Ann, and I had I think I can just turn it. Lots of just went outside and filled a tennis container of natural things. And I just had fun taking Play-Doh and making these little acorn people. And I thought one just reminded me of Walter. So Walter, my mind just went to how your hat kind of reminded me of him. And I just felt such a sense of joy. And I had a sense of like, being out on a floor in the forest, and all the little acorns were dancing like little sprites. And it just felt peaceful and freeing. And I really appreciated the music, because I think that just felt like little fairies dancing in the forest to me. And I felt lighthearted and peaceful and so grateful.
Thank you, Barbara. That was wonderful. Yeah.
Same here. This is Sydney. Good morning in California. The music made a difference for me. That it was like la la, and that opened up a lot of imagination. It was like, feeling free, So the music, I think, makes a difference. Because if it was faster and really like upbeat, you probably would have been like more stressful, like I had to go faster or something. But it was a great experience. I enjoyed it with all my different colors. My different colors drove me crazy. I should have just stuck to one. But it was great. I enjoyed it. Very relaxing.
Thank you for sharing, Sydney.
Hi, I'm Tara. I guess I'll go next. I had these couple of candy canes from last Christmas, I think, and some kind of random toys. If you can't tell, I'm a preschool teacher. I kind of had a goal that I wanted to set up these two candy canes like this. You can see a picture and I posted it, but I tried quite a few times. I had a slap bracelet that I tried to wrap it around, and then I ended up with a rubber band. And I tried to set this up, and it kind of kept falling. So it made me think of my kids that are trying to do something, but it falls down, or, somebody comes in and steps on it, and they were working on this one thing. They were trying to get this, and then all of a sudden they have all this emotion that they have to deal with, because it took me quite a few times to get this set up. And the materials that I had, I used them in different ways. I had some rings, and they ended up being weights, and I finally got it set up, and it ended up being a castle, and the little dinosaur was gonna try and get in the castle, and of course the castle fell down at that point in time. So then I had to put it back up, and at the end it finally stayed up, and the rhino got to destroy the castle, rolling the dice, and it was fun. And in my breakout room, I found a common soul with the person that I talked with. We shared our stories, and then we kind of realized that we both kind of had a passion for teaching and a passion for learning. So it was really nice to meet somebody else across whatever kind of airwaves this is. So thanks, that was awesome.
Oh, lovely. Thank you for sharing, Tara. As you were speaking too, I was just reminded of kind of what Walter had led us off with, that integration and of play and science. And it almost feels impossible to separate the two, that experimentation state that you were in, and testing and continuing to persevere. So yeah, thank you for sharing. And I'm so glad you found a connection in the breakout rooms. I saw some posts in the comment in the chat box about those of you who said you enjoyed that time just to connect with others, which is amazing. So thank you for sharing. Anyone else care to share a bit about your play? Or I see Harry. Harry, would you like to share?
Sure. Let me see. Let me show you something here that I can plug in. So if you can see the, I'm not sure I can switch videos here. Yeah, you're right. Right. So I usually tear up a credit card in half like this. And what I've decided to do is take it and use it as a template to create shapes. So this is one page. This is another page. This is yet another page. It just seems like there's infinite potential for shapes to be combined together. So this was really quite a breakthrough for me. And you know, just it was a good feeling doing this, feeling of being present. And I got the opportunity to share with someone else who was in the Bahamas, equally locked out. So it's interesting that this has become like a go-to thing to do, to be able to not be consumed by events that are beyond our control. You know? So it's something that I've actually been practicing being in a lockdown for a long time, because every time I've been doing this for years, it's been kind of like an isolation. So you've had like a lot of good experience doing this for many years, spending like a third of my time in pure research. So thank you very much, Walter.
You bet, Harry. Good to have you here. Thank you so much for your comments. Floor is still open, I think.
Yes, I would like to share. This is Kate Williamson.
Oh. Hi, Kate.
Bahamas.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm in Acklands at the moment, one of the islands down on the chain. And oh, this was a refreshing and rewarding experience this morning. And I had the opportunity of using some cascarilla stick from the cascarilla tree that we have here in Acklands. We used the bark of the tree to export to Italy to make Campari. And my husband just cut up the sticks for me. And as we played, I was able to make 3 towers here. And I used the fat sticks at the bottom to remind me of foundations. And I looked at it as networking, you know, with our relationships. And when I put the sticks close together to reach the ones that I was stacking on the top, it reminds me of how close our bond need to be. And my mind reflect back on Walter Drew, who I've met somewhere in the early 90s when I went to Miami-Dade for a workshop. And because the foundation with he and I was so close, it is still standing today. I haven't heard from him in a long time, but he sent me an email the other day, and because of the foundation that we built being so strong, I was able to connect, to be on this workshop this morning, to release some depression, to release stress, to find out who I am again. And like he had mentioned, listen, the opposite of play is not work, it's depression. So Walter, I'm glad for this opportunity to play again today. And I met Heather from Pennsylvania, and she and I reconnected. That was marvelous. She shared with her covers that she had and the different songs, and just how your music was refreshing. My mind went on it when she said that when she rubbed the two covers together, the sound was even more pleasant. And we need pleasant environments when we are healing our minds as we work with our hands. So, and then not only that, one last point, Walter, as we closed our eyes, when you asked us to and take a deep breath, I give thanks to God for you, for bringing me to this space today to relax my mind. So God really loved me to allow you to connect with me again. So thank you so much.
Thank you for your blessing. Thank you for your blessing, Kate. It's very nice to be present, everybody, all of us together like this. I would remind you, if you don't mind, if you haven't already done so, please put your name and your email address on the chat so we can send you a copy of this video. Barbara asked in a chat space, is this being recorded? And it is, and we'll be happy to send you, should you want to see it, a link or something, sometime before the next couple of years, normally. Very soon, next week maybe. Okay, I think it's amazing to me, the sense of harmony I feel. There are no disruptions. There's a very authentic virtual flow of energy. And somehow we're all in the space of being vessels of sharing that in our play and in our comments. So it reminds me of the idea of a portal, you know, a place to go. And play can take us there in just a moment or two. Where I was distressed before, I'm happy, back to normal again. You know that feeling with children. Okay, so we had, as I mentioned earlier, extended this session, which ends officially at 12 o'clock. That's about right now. And we have about 30 minutes for a very special extension of the experiment, really, the experiment we're all doing. As I mentioned, last time we asked if people would like to share if they did experience, and we have two people. And I'm delighted to introduce the first, and Carly is going to introduce the second. But my first one is a colleague I've known for some time. She is a young professor, PhD, from Penn State University, a very prestigious place to graduate from. Pennsylvania has really led the way in many ways in the field of play research, you know, including Brian Sutton Smith, who was a professor up there also. But this is Tuğçe Tunçdemir from Turkey. And last time we were together, she spontaneously said, I would like to try this with parents in Turkey using the medium of the Zoom. She did that. She had, well, I think I'll let her tell you that. But before I do, I also want to add that she was chosen and given an award, a distinguished award by NACE's Play Policy and Practice Interest Forum some years ago. Actually, it was 2018. She was chosen then as an emerging play scholar and distinguished. She received that award. One other thing, she is a member of TASP and she is a member at large on the board. TASP is the Association for the Study of Play. So join me in welcoming Tuğçe for a few moments. Tuğçe.
Thank you, Walter. Thank you so much. And as Walter said, I graduated last summer from Penn State. My whole work just is about play right now. And I work with pre-service teachers in the college, and I try to show them how they can and okay, I just getting some, you are unmuted and muted, sorry. And I try to show them how they can use play in their classroom and how they can use play in their curriculum. So And the last time I experienced it with these play experiences with Walter, and I really would like to share these experiences with my friends in Turkey. I'm originally from Turkey, but I have been in here for 10 years. And I ask, can you just let me share my screen?
Yeah, Walter, I was just sending you a message. If you could make Tucci a co-host, since I'm not the host of the session. I thought I was going to be able to do that for you. Sorry about that.
Oh, yeah, no, it's
Be happy to do that. Tucci, I think you're in now. I just clicked it. I can't believe I actually succeeded in doing that. There you go, dear.
okay. Yeah, I have just there's some pictures about this experiences, and I would like to tell you. Can you just see my PowerPoint?
Looks great.
Okay, thank you. And I invited my friends via Instagram and Facebook using the media, of course. And I invited all of my friends to these experiences. Just as first, I invited the parents friends to come to the play with me and just to bring your children or child. And then, and after that, just as the more than 70 people sign up. But the time is in Turkey is the kind of the 5 p.m. It's a dinner time at weekend. The weather was so nice. So ended up to 12 people in the experiences, but that I expected. So the people always just sign up and then not show up, but that's fine. And then I have the 12 people, and then half of them with children, the other half just by themselves. They are the teachers and other jobs that are just the kind of familiar to me. They are my friends, and they wanted to experience this play, and I let them the play just as the kind of the same experiences. I try to do my best. I try to do like you, Walter, but I'm not sure that I'm really good about that. But I try to I introduce a little bit about me, and then just kind of my research, and then the play, why the play is important, and also that in this time the schools are still closed in Turkey. They plan to open, but they do right now the remotely, so the kids are at home, and parents, they have to be at home, and they try to do something more with their kids, and I offer them they can use loose parts in their houses, and then they can have a play experiences. So, and in the first my pictures, there's some of them send me their photos, so I have ended up some couple photos, and these are from what the children made in these experiences. So the glasses, and then some they use so many materials in the class in their classrooms or homes, the clothespin, kind of the papers, and so many the loose part toys. And I have a little video clip from the one of the child.
Denizler dünyası ben yaptım. Şu bir deniz incisi olarak kullandım. Şu taşlarda derdar oldu. Bir tane deniz topu doydum. Etrafını da madara birleştirerek çevirdim. Ve programımız bu da.
Okay, this is Turkish, but I can translate a little bit quickly. And she's explained, I put stones here, I put pearls here, just I'm thinking that's a kind of the shining pearls. And I put the seashells in, and then I just the frame with the clothespin, and this is it, my program is over.
Wonderful.
This is really cute that I have. And the other pictures that the parents and then other adults just made these things with the materials, and I picked them. And overall, when they shared their experiences with the play, the first, all of them, and I also asked them some questions in the evaluation form that I sent them, and they share their journals, but most of everything in this form, and they love it, and then they really gratitude to have time to play. There's some of them by itself, some of them with the children, and they also the like to think about that the materials that are at home, not the toys, just as you can see the some of the household materials that can be the play materials. And also one of my students just, she was my student in Turkey, and right now she's a teacher, and made this one. And it is the big, the tower, the red, the plastic cups tower. And she told me that I have so many those materials, and I always just let the kids play, but I have never played these materials before myself because I didn't think about that before. And I said, then this is a kind of a really nice moment for me to see that, because we have so many materials around us. And then as a preschool teacher that I was, and then we always just as they give these materials to the kids, and then, okay, let's play, and then just do something. And it's nice to have some time for us to play and then think about ourselves, and then just trying to be calm or think more or think less, depends on us. And they're really great experiences. And after that, the teachers' friends told me that please just do us just for the teachers, and then in Turkey. And I plan to do something, but not just the short amount of time, because I need to schedule it a little bit, the Zoom conferences for them too, and I'm just a little bit prepared, because in Turkey the loose parts playing is really common. Most of the classrooms and most of them, the people use loose parts, but they call a different thing, just as the recycled materials, they said. But I want to just differentiate that these are loose part and the recycled materials, but in different, the translation in Turkish is a different topic. So I'm so glad that I can do this with your inspiration and encouragement, Walter, of course, to Carly. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tusi. That was wonderful. It was fun to see the little child playing like that and to hear what they said about it. Good. So let's see, I think, I wonder what might happen in your next one that you mentioned, Tucci, about, an extended conference where you expand on the work with teachers. That would be wonderful. Good for you. All right, Carly, would you like to introduce Robin and take it from here? And we'll just come back for questions and answers in both cases. Yes.
That sounds great.
For questions. Yeah.
All right. Well, I am so excited to introduce Robin Plouffe to you all. She is an amazing play advocate. I first had the privilege of meeting Robin through a connection with Walter a few years ago. Her and I had the opportunity to present at NACCE together, and just I had an immediate sense of warmth from her and just an incredible passion for play. And so Robin is a professor at Champlain College. She is a passionate play advocate and a facilitator of NACCE's Play Policy and Practice Interest Forum. She's also an active member of the Association for the Study of Play, a master play coach, and again, just an all-around lovely human being who is so sharing and collaborative, and again, passionate about the work of play. So Robin had the opportunity to share a play experience with some teachers from Head Start. So we're excited to have Robin share a little bit more about that with you all.
Thank you so much for that lovely introduction, Carly. I hope I can live up to all that. So I wanted to kind of start out, Tucci and I had the pleasure of being in the breakout room together, and we said similar things about play. And so I want to connect back to something that she said, talking about I invited a lot of people and 12 people showed up. Well, the very first time I did this, I invited people and no one showed up. So the very first time I tried this, I ended up playing by myself. And I kind of think, isn't that just like play? We don't know who or what is going to show up. We don't know who or what is going to emerge. So just to be open to whatever that might be, whatever whatever might happen, I think is so important. And then we both were also sharing a particularly chaotic week. And I looked at the pile of play materials on my desk this morning and said, oh, this is just chaos. This is just like the rest of my week. It's chaos. But then as I began to play, a sense of peace and order overcame, and patterns began to emerge, and I took a breath and felt better. But so I successfully got to do this experience again with a group of about 30 teachers from Head Start. And one of the things that I think helped to make the experience successful was about a week before, I sent folks a photo of a small collection of play materials that I have. I sent them journal sheets. Oh, Carly's going to share, this is my photo of my own play materials. And I offered a list of suggestions in my email as to what folks might collect to play with. I suggested they might collect materials from nature. They might collect sticks, or in Vermont, it's fall leaves, or rocks or stones and acorns, or they might look for a collection from around their home, a roll of pennies, a container of paper clips, some plastic drinking straws, marbles, seashells, whatever they might find. And I suggested if they had access to their classrooms that they could collect similar materials from there, which most of them did. So I was kind of under the impression that the training would be a little bit like what we're doing today, where I would see 30 squares with 30 different faces in them, but they actually were in groups in their classrooms, all sharing one computer. So each classroom was Zooming and listening and watching from one screen, and that didn't detract from the experience. But if I had known that ahead of time, I think I would have done it a little bit more like we do it at NAEYC, and invited them to push all their materials into the middle of the table and, share. But that it still worked out. It still worked out great. And I didn't want to give them that. I didn't want to ask them to do that because they weren't expecting it. And I didn't want someone to feel like, well, I collected all this stuff and I want to play with it. I didn't want people to feel like I was forcing them to share. So I decided not to do that. So I offered a little introduction to play and played some music, and they played for about a half hour. They did some silent meditation and reflection and some journal time. And I didn't put them in breakout groups because they were sort of already in their own group. So I just muted all the mics and let them talk amongst themselves, and then invited them to come back together and share with the larger group. And what they found most challenging was to not talk to each other while they are playing. As we find when we're at NAEYC, sometimes that can be a challenge for people. So, but they also found it hard, some of them found it hard to really give themselves over to the experience of play because they were in their classrooms. They were a little distracted by what was going to happen after this training was over and all the work that they had left to do in their in-service in their classroom. But still, they were still able to stay with it. And some of the things that they said were things like, I don't know when the last time was I took time to myself to play like that. I used to do something like this with children, but I haven't done it in a really long time. I'm going to do it again. I loved working with the simple materials I gathered, and it reminded me of how simple play can be. There are so many things, curriculums, assessments that we have to do for Head Start that it is hard to find time to let the children just play. But I think it is important for us to figure out how to do this. And then one participant who didn't know her microphone was on said, I usually don't like this airy fairy stuff, but this was fun. So, you know, I think that, I think it was, I felt a little bit challenged thinking, wishing I had a helper, like, you know, Carly and Walter are such great partners in this work together, and wishing that I had a helper, but at the same time, it was okay not to have a helper. It was very successful and everyone had a good experience. So, I felt like, it was still that provocation to the invitation to play, and that provocation to reflect on their play was all still there.
Thank you, Robin. That was a wonderful view of what happens sometimes when you try for the first time and you find the unexpected. But continuing with the idea, I got a thrill when I saw that you just said, I would like to have a partner, but I realized I could do it by myself. That's awesome. Yeah. And what you reported is awesome. Thank you for doing that, Robin and Tunchi. Could we open the floor now for comments or questions to these two presenters? Would someone like to ask a question or raise a question?
I have a question, Walter. I've been doing a lot of research. I've been teaching transcendental meditation for many years, and it seems to be that there's an understanding about our autonomic nervous system. There's a parasympathetic and a sympathetic part of our nervous system. And I sort of want to ask the question of the presenters, if their research goes into understanding how what we're doing is actually favoring a parasympathetic value of experience while we're doing our play. And that's good for the individual and as a group as well, if they have any research on that.
Could you say again your name? Who just spoke?
Yeah, Harry Martinian.
Good. Thank you, Harry. A response to Harry.
Well, I think there's, you know, I guess I had no, I don't, I haven't, I personally have not done research in that direction, but, you know, I have studied mindfulness a bit, and to me, this experience of play is very much like a mindfulness practice, which I think does connect with what you're describing and talking about. I think, you know, just being present in our play and being present in ourself and finding that powerful center. I just find that for me personally, I don't know how many times I've done this play experience, but when I get to be a participant, for me personally, that happens every single time.
I'd like to add to what you said, Robin, a response to Harry. The parasympathetic system and the words that intends to express cues to me a whole network of other language possibilities. And Robin, I think, touched on one. That's mindfulness practice, or being mindful, being present with one's consciousness, higher consciousness, allowing the mind to relax, to slow down, to be calm, basically to do Zen, empty the mind so that from this other state of being within us, intuitive self, if you will, that precious little child that was born in you some years ago as you is still there. And let us allow that higher consciousness, higher order thinking skills, executive skills, mindfulness practice. Jim Johnson, professor at Penn State, calls it secular prayer. I think, Rabbi Shire, you may have some comments to that point also. there is this presence that seems to be with us and more aware of it's happening when we're in that state of just listening to oneself, giving that expressive system that's within us a chance to come out. But Rabbi Shire, would you add anything to that from your study of spiritual matters in education? I don't mean to put you on the spot, Michael, but if that's something you might like.
Thank you. Delighted to be here with you, Walter, and everyone else. Had a wonderful time this morning on our Sabbath morning, and in many ways this was an act of prayer for me. So I really resonate with that idea, and it was wonderful to slow down and to do some play and to feel that we all have this opportunity to find some optimism and get out of the stressful moment by doing this. I did want to ask a question about readiness for this work, readiness for play, and I wondered if people could help us think about what it takes for either young children or indeed teachers to get ready for this, because it's sometimes difficult. We've all had that experience of saying, you know, I love doing this, but I don't do it often enough. And what does it take to make us ready and to get us prepared for this work? Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Michael. Would anybody like to respond there?
Can I say something about that with the children experience that I did? I led parents to think about that, the importance of the play. So I tell them if you want, because just as most of the parents have a kind of an idea that the kids cannot play by themselves, or they cannot have time to play by themselves with the materials. So I told them, okay, just you have some materials and put them in the small boxes or the bags, but not to show them before the experience. So during the experience, as they bring the sheet, the cover, it's an attractive one, and put them on the floor, and then just to slowly open the bags and the boxes and introduce these materials to the kids and each time. So they make them excited about the materials. So try to be prepared. Okay, we are going to play with these materials, and then these materials are important for us, and then the play is important. So just I put them carefully in the materials in front of the kids, and then introduce them and started to play, not guiding them, but just starting to play with myself the material, and then introduce them to play. So just I try to prepare them to the kind of the thinking, the thoughts about we are playing right now, just as we don't do anything, just the playing, and kind of the preparation for me to guiding them to the materials and the environment.
Well, I think that sometimes you just have to be thrown into it. In my own case, I knew Walter because of our mutual interest in the history of blocks and block play. And I came to a first workshop at NACCE not knowing what to expect. And it has blossomed since then.
Yeah. Thank you.
Speak a little bit to that. Can you guys all hear me? I can speak a little bit to that. I manage the WeMagination Resource Center in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We're part of the Walter's nodding because everything we do is based on Walter. But so in order to get people to prepare to play, I think this was Walter's idea. I think you made this up, that we have people close their when as a child. So ask them to remember what play was like, and then we come back to the large group and sort of reflect on the memories of adults remembering what it was like to play as children. And I mean 8 out of 10 people mention outdoors: rocks, trees, water, mud, sticks, and more I mean, 90% also with other kids, my cousins or friends or those. But it's really interesting because I feel like that is really good preparation to send them into solo play because they're kind of in that space already.
Yeah. There's what's occurring to me right now for a moment. I want to be mindful of the time. You know, we have another minute or two and a few more things to do, but we can extend it if that's, but maybe put a kind of closing on it and then we'll open it up again or something like that. But from the previous discussion, a couple of things occur to me. Harry, I'd like to get my credit cards and cut them up. I'm going to wait till they expire, though. I love your idea. Thank you so much.
Good idea.
Yeah. But I did want to come back to what we're doing right now. It feels to me is we're using the physical experience as a way of connecting our minds intellectually, spiritually, playfully, to kind of expand and understand what it is we're really talking about here. We're talking about what Brian Sutton Smith calls an exquisite adaptive variability. Adaptive variability, that play itself is such it's way beyond what we can imagine. We can't complete an understanding or a definition of play. He says that. So allow, if you will, that here we are together like we are in this moment, and we're one. We are one being with these kind of loving expressions of our experiences and who we are. And so it is with a healthy community, it seems to me, a child's classroom, a family, where at the heart of it is this idea of having some kind of relationships with one another that are characterized by high quality, openness, love, friendship, warmth, healthy development, especially in these times, I'm afraid, we are in, and we may be headed to an even more difficult time. I don't mean to forecast the future, I'm not. I'm just thinking, well, what can I do if that happens with my family, with my own psyche that gets troubled from time to time? Who doesn't? And so I'm saying, here I am in the realm of saving myself emotionally. And Brian Sutton Smith also talks about that play is about emotional survival. That was the whole idea of his little contribution to our thinking today. Origination, optimism is about healing. It's about healing. So where do we go from here? By ourselves and yet together. There's a lot more to say. Of course, everybody has a lot to say. If you have an interest in communicating with Carly and myself, please send your little picture. Please send a copy of your doodling or your journaling. And somehow we'll send to you, edit down the first part a little bit. We'll send the whole darn thing, except before we actually got together, a recording of the video. So you can get to see this and reflect again on it, should you wish to, not that you need to. But I think that's, but that was a digression in part when I was thinking about reflecting on the experience beyond today and finding ways of doing that, which brings to mind these web resources. Thank you very much, Blythe, for mentioning Dr. Drew's blocks. They They are wonderful, beautiful set of blocks. I agree. And I know they're going to be happy that I acknowledge them for that, because they love to hear the good news that people like Dr. Drew's blogs. Do you hear that, boys and girls? They just love your blogs. So that's one thing. The other thing is the idea of the resource center. And I think Paige mentioned the one in New Mexico, which has been a long-standing program. Thank you for bringing that to mind, Paige. That's the idea that we collect, we develop relationships with our community, including our businesses, in very positive, constructive, mutually beneficial ways. We ask them for their trash, basically, the stuff they don't want. Not only nature gives us those sticks and stones and pine cones and little pebbles and things and leaves from Vermont and everywhere, but those businesses have treasures for us to gather. Every community has them. And they're sprinkled through the United States now. There's more coming. I'm pleased that I was involved with establishing that one in Boston in 1981, but the first one was in Worcester, Massachusetts in 75. That's Mary Picari. There's the Institute on the left side there, and it's holding the spirit. The yellow, people say, what's the yellow for? Well, you could say it's the sun or a marble. I think it's all about play, holding the spirit together. And then on the right side, I just am so pleased that our state organization, Florida AEYC, has thought enough about play to establish an actual statewide chapter. I mention this because some of you who live and work in communities that have an affiliate of NAEYC, it would be real good if they don't already ask our businesses to support our teachers and our parents by giving their unwanted byproducts, overruns, rejects for creative human rejuvenation. And lastly, but not least, is the youngest in the group, and that's the thing called Play Partners. And I'm going to ask Carly. Carly, we're a little over. What should we do? Would you mind saying something, and then we could do a closing, and then there's the resources list. Would you do that?
Sure, definitely. Yeah, just briefly wanted to share a dream that I had that I am partnering with Walter in, which is an opportunity to connect play advocates from around the world in community and connection, and kind of centered around this play experience that we just shared. So we have been in conversation and kind of planning mode. And now that we'll have your email addresses for those of you who put it in the chat box, we'll be able to share more information when we have an official first community of practice meeting, which will be an opportunity to play like we did today, but also to get to share more about how this work can transform our practice. So we are excited about that. And then additionally, in the middle of the page, you see the Play Workshop Google Drive of resources, which is lots of articles and resources to help support your amazing play work. If you have anything to add to those resources, please feel free to email me or Walter, and we will add it in there. In the chat, I did put our contact information, as well as a link to a survey where we cover your feedback on this experience. You have the link in the chat box. It's just been a joy to read people's thoughts from the past experiences. So we really do appreciate any feedback that you're able to offer, and just getting that insight into your moments of play. So.
Okay, thank you so much, Carly. I wonder, for those of you that are still here, I'd love to be able to see all of you and say hello personally. I see you on the screen, and I'm feeling, darn it, there's a lot of you folks that I know, and I'd like to call your name out, every single one of you. And I don't know as I can, there's some I will know and there's some I will not know, but I'd like to do that. You know, as I'm looking at my screen, I see to my left Carly Bedard and Walter Drew is here also, and Sydney Everly and Terrace Steinman and Harry Martinian and Heather Ha. Heather's also a facilitator with the Play Policy and Practice Interest Forum. And and among many other things, she's a new mother and she's starting a new school, and it's good to see you, Heather. And Robin, and Blythe, it's so good to see. And Barbara Pullman, who's doing this kind of work in Chicago and around that part of our country. And she's doing beautiful work with little people that she made.
Detroit, Walter.
What's that? Yeah.
Detroit, not Chicago, Detroit.
Thank you, Barb. And Phil Cox, who is himself a master play coach and teacher of children in the Atlanta Public Schools as an art teacher and a brilliant professor himself. It's good to see you, Phil, and Tucci, and Paige, and Melanie Felton, who's a professor way out there. And is it Iowa? I thought so. Hi, Melanie. Good to see you here. And of course, Rabbi Shire. It's a real treat to see you here. Also, yep. And Jennifer Reynolds, who is a play coach and has been involved deeply in play work around the country. She was in Washington for a while. Before that, she was in Iowa. And I think she's in the great state of California. Is that right, Jennifer? Yes.
Actually, now I just moved near Barbara. I'm in Harrison Township, Michigan, which is north of Detroit.
Good deal. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having this. This has been wonderful.
Yeah. And may I continue? There was Diane. I saw Diane. And let's see, I think Terry Cox, I see you there, Phil's wife of some years, and together they live in Atlanta. And Terry herself is involved deeply, has been along with Phil, with the Reggio movement in this country. So, hi, Terry, it's good to see you here.
Hi, Walter, it's great to see you.
Yeah. All of us, really, forgive me for going on, but it feels like we're introducing ourselves where we didn't really have a chance for everybody to do that. Vicki Parker may still be here. I think she's a member certainly of TASP. She's participated in the TASP conferences over the years. Mary's iPad is here also. And hi, Mary's iPad. It's nice to have you here. And Lynn Hartle is here from Pennsylvania also. She's a professor, also Penn State University. Veronica Valente is one of the play coaches from California. Hi, Veronica. It's very nice to have you present also. And Mary, and I believe Krista Murphy, I see you. Krista, I see you're here. Krista is a dear friend that I met many years ago at NACCE, and she was really the one that, a whole lot of stuff has happened since meeting one another. She basically carried this play experience back to the state of California, where it's had an ongoing birthing and a wonderfully brilliant history of growing in California, in large part because of your work, Krista, and with the assistance of Carly Bedard. So Krista Murphy also, for some of you may know, has served as one of the members and board members of NACCE and provides great leadership in the state of California to advocate strongly for play. Dianola Williamson, I see your picture. We are glad you're here, and we hope that we can all come together again someday. I'm not quite sure how to close this. I just see we're still here, but maybe if you will, a secular prayer. How's that? Just let us pause for a moment. It's like take a deep breath and allow the gratitude for being alive and healthy and who you are and what you do. Allow the gratitude fill you for your work on behalf of children and families, your community, all of the beings you come in touch with and share your love and your kindness, especially during difficult times. That's surely part of who you are. There's no doubt about it. That's who we all are. And that's absolutely the truth. So with regards to secular prayer, It's really an Irish one, you might say. I know it's an Irish one. It's may the long time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure light within you guide you on your way. At this point, I think that we'll officially close this with Carly and I feel so grateful that you're present. Without you, this isn't possible. Thank you so much. Carly, is there something you might like to add, or are we okay?
No, just echoing those sentiments of gratitude.
Yeah.
So thank you, everyone.
We are thinking about another session that might focus on science and play, and be specific about some curriculum. We're also thinking about play with paints, an actual virtual hands-on play with paints experience. Maybe we try that. And the invitation that began in the last session stands with you today. If any of you apply what we're doing, what you did, what you feel comfortable playing and exploring, investigating, playing around with, and you do something, you want to bring it back and share with the group, we would like that. It's just enriching all of us to have anybody who wishes to express themselves to have that chance. So think about that. You know, you have any questions, just contact Carly or myself, or you could contact Tucci or Robin and ask them about it, you know, or anything. But you know how to do it. You know, you really do know exactly what to do now. If you knew it before, my guess is we've known it, and Brian Sutton Smith talks about that. This is a biological evolutionary tool that's been designed in us. So we know how to play. We know how to rough and tumble and imagine and cook all kinds of things and play with our hands and fingers and climb trees and take a break and slow down and focus all of that energy, that power within us to fiddle and arrange and organize and take that deep dive inside and feel the spirit of play. It's verifiable. You did it. Thank you so much for being here today. Really, let's stay in touch. It'd be wonderful to stay in touch. You know. And if anybody has anything else to say, you know, we can hang around for a few minutes. Unless you need to go. If you need to go, officially it's ended. But if you'd like, anybody want this open floor again? How about that? Well, Carly, is that okay if we do that? Keep the floor.
Absolutely, yes, of course.
The floor is open. The floor is open.
Okay, I'll jump back in again. I am loving doing play workshops with kids in Detroit. And I started doing it in person with them. And this is through an organization, Brilliant Detroit, who goes into a lot of high-risk neighborhoods, and they have early childhood homes and centers. And so when I was playing with them in person, it was great. And I always start with stories, so I kind of like the Waldorf, bringing in a beautiful story, and then I let them play and encourage them that in their playing, they're creating their own stories, or if they want to retell, either way. But I have lots of materials, and when we had to go, we couldn't go into the buildings anymore, I just thought, oh, I don't want these kids not to have play. So I made these little play kits that I put together, and the Brilliant Detroit bought them, and we got them in their hands, and it's been so great. So I've been doing it since March with them every week. And it's just been wonderful. And now I have moms that come with their children and they're playing alongside their kids. So it's been really, really fun. And Walter, you just are an inspiration and so grateful. So thank you.
Thank you, Barb. We are all inspirations, truly. We are. You know, Tom Hendricks' book, I recommend highly. I have two books I'd like to recommend. Tom Hendricks' book, it's called Play and the Human Condition. Tom is a sociology professor at Elon University and on the edge of retiring. But it's a great book. I don't have, oh yeah, I do. Here it is here. It's one of my favorite. He's a brilliant theorist and he follows Brian Sutton Smith. And it occurs to me, one of the things that Tom talks about is self-realization. Self-realization. And if you think about that in terms of your experience and, you know, a definition for you personally, it may mean one thing, whereas another person, it may mean something else. But he comes at it from the perspective that in play, the self-realization has to do in part with realizing what you can do and who you are and what you like and what you don't like and what you want to do some more. So you realize that who you are as the self is passing you a message. Check this out. If you felt any of that in your work today, in your play today, in your sharing today, in your journaling today, anything you might have uncovered, it's a little bit like going to the beach and looking for treasure, you know, nice shell or something, you know, and you may have found something like that today. And that's related to self-realization. If you take self-realization, you go a little further out, remove it from the concrete to the abstract, then you realize there's enormous potential for higher self-realization that carries you further into becoming who you are. And it's not unreal stuff because you're living that. We all are. And play is a medium for uncovering some of those gems. And you have to be careful because sometimes there's a tendency to disregard what happens in play. I would urge us all to value what happens in play for no other reason than if we work with children, we sure want to value what they're experiencing. So we ourselves must practice that. Take very seriously what happened today. You know, just respectfully, as you are, as we all are, we had an experience. Incidentally, I was playing with these sticks and I had some stones and you got to show yours. Well, here's some of mine. These are driftwood pieces that I was playing with. And these are pieces from the beach. They're just like really neat pieces of treasure. This is all about uncovering the treasure through play. It's great to be together here. So let's see, somebody was here a minute ago. I wondered about Vicky Carr. Are you still here, Vicky? Vicky, go away, okay? Vicky, I didn't see her earlier on. Oh, well, is it time for lunch or Halloween candy or something?
Hi, Walter. This is Melanie. I had put in the chat that I just had when you talked about using play through other kinds of media, that I just did a remote session on doing sensory play and block play with my students. We started out face to face, And so I did the mini workshop that I always do with them, of course, with restrictions and masks. And so the cooperative play had to be more associative play, but we made it work. And then we went remote. And so I prepared art boxes of materials for their safety before we even started, because we potentially would be online the whole time. So they had boxes already, and I gathered materials and said, come pick them up safely. And then I did an online session where I presented some information, and then get out your shaving cream, we're going to finger paint. You know, get out the blocks, we're going to do this. And so, and then I had them send photographs. So I have some of the photographs and stuff too from that. So I just knew to teach play and creativity, they have to touch things. And I know you can do things to find them in their own homes, but I have students in dorms, and I have and some are quarantined. So it's definitely exercised my creativity, but that idea of also thinking how to do it in face-to-face, but remote. So for my college students, it's absolutely essential that I'd say, I'm going to do play propaganda, so be prepared. And so I teach play and developmental change, but you have to play yourselves. And I've noticed, especially this year with a room full of students with masks and social distancing, that even though play is really essential, it's really hard for them. It's really hard to break out of all the pressures in their lives. And they struggled more than I'd seen. And then I gave them more time. I just let it really go on longer than I usually do. But anyway, so those are just some things that I'd be really happy to talk more about that, or share some of those images and things from that in the future.
Good. Thank you, Melanie.
So I just want to say thank you. I do have to go, but this has just been fabulous. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah,
I really appreciate being here and sharing.
Robin, thank you for sharing. It was really inspiring to hear about your experience with those teachers. So
you're very welcome. Take care.
Bye-bye, Robin. I think I'm going to go too. It's time, I think. So I guess I'm just going to say goodbye and leave you alone, all right? Or, hi, Linda, bye. It's wonderful, really. I have a difficult time with this kind of departure, you know.
1, 2, 3, bye.
Thank you, everyone.